Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
Well, you know, I ain't going to lie. I don't know what happened to autumn. We skipped autumn this year. We went straight from 90 degrees to 50 degrees. Welcome to downtown Tullahoma on a chilly Monday in southern Middle Tennessee. Along with Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Action-packed Shasteen show for you tonight. It's exciting, lots to talk about. But let's start with the Purdue Boilermakers. We're all Boilermakers Saturday night, are we not, Ken?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was great.
For one time, I was on Gary Danielson's side. He's a former Boilermaker quarterback. Big Gary D.
Well, they just dismantled Ohio State.
Yeah,
I mean, they just beat them from start to finish. I've seen teams act like they didn't really want to play, but Ohio State acted as much like they didn't really want to play as any team I've ever seen.
Yeah, number 2 team in the country. They go down 49-20, just a blowout at Purdue, and losing to an unranked team by 29 points. And I hate to bring the big A up right now, but that really puts into light. It's amazing what Alabama's done with 80 straight wins over unranked teams.
Well, Ohio State goes on the road to beautiful Purdue, Indiana, against a 3-3 team, and just folds, just lays down. Jeff Brom's doing a great job there at Purdue. They started 0-3, by the way. And what a contrast to Alabama. They go to a 3-3 team on the road, conference game, and do what a machine does. They're 70 points better than Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State should have no look now at a playoff, none whatsoever.
I'm not so sure Urban Meyer's going to be back there next year. The interim guy that filled in his absence those first 3 games, guy did a really good job. They got off to 3-0. I just think, with what happened with Urban in the offseason and being suspended 3 games, I think it's took an emotional toll on him, and I believe finally caught up with his team, and we saw that in that Purdue game Saturday night.
So do you think that thing begins to fall apart a little bit?
I think it may unravel. I think, that Michigan game's big. There's still a lot to play for. If they can beat Michigan, of course, the trumpets will sound with ESPN, and they'll have the Ohio State Buckeyes back in the playoff picture, as well as I do. But, I really like the way that Michigan defense playing right now. And, earlier I would in the season, just last week I'd have said Ohio State I would favor against Michigan. But right now I think I like the way Michigan's playing.
All right, let's talk some high school football, shall we? Tullahoma Wildcats with a thrilling 42-35 win over the Giles County Bobcats Friday night. Man, it wasn't easy. It was a strange game. But to me, the focus coming out of that game is special teams. This may be, well, it is, as good a special teams as I've ever seen at Tullahoma High School. I mean, this special teams just absolutely winning games for the Wildcats.
They are, and you're right. That's the X factor in many of these deciding close games. They played in some of the games that haven't been close. That Lawrence County win early in the season, 3 kick return TDs, non-offensive touchdowns, and when you have that rolling with a team that's playing as good a defense, especially in the secondary that Tullahoma was doing, with a prolific offense that has balance, that can run and pass, that's a dangerous team, and that's why Tullahoma won 8 straight.
And it was really good to see Ben Fulton and that Wildcat passing game get back on track a little bit. They've been struggling, totally relying on Bryson Korn to carry the offense and the special teams and the defense. I think it was good for Tullahoma, a little bit of change of pace last week. The defense gave up a lot of points to Giles County. So I thought it was good that Ben Fulton had an opportunity to stretch that arm out a little bit. I feel a lot better about the Wildcat offense now going into this Week 11 matchup with Maplewood.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it, because Maplewood puts up some points. If you look at the scores and the results of their games, I mean, 56 one game, 60 another. So they can rack up points really, really fast, and you get the idea. Tullahoma's going to have to score a lot of points to have a chance in this game. It's good to see the offense kind of wake up, and it was great. The way that Ben played, he showed improvement. The last game, he is just a junior, but Friday night was really about the seniors on senior night. Great to see Race Marin have a big explosive play in the passing game, catching the ball, going down that left sidelines. You see Kobe Burks and Bryson Corn also making big plays, and so it was really good to see the seniors show out in that game. It was their night, and Wildcats on a hot streak.
I've cautioned about this in multiple Monday nights. By the way, we are at London's here in downtown Tullahoma. Come on down, have a burger, a beer, a steak. London's is the place to be on Mondays. We've talked about this multiple Mondays, Ken. These penalties, Wildcats, if they hope to make a serious playoff run, they can't afford these penalties. If they hope to win the Region 4-4A championship, you're not going to give Maplewood 100 free yards. They're going to beat you.
Oh, no doubt. That's a great point, and that's something they do have to clean up. It's been a challenge. A lot of it just, losing poise, a lack of discipline. Mentally, they're not physical mistakes, lining up, guys running off the field. That can be correctable. These personal foul penalties have got to stop, and they've got to stop right now.
Absolutely. As they do in Knoxville.
Yes.
So, kind of looking back on the weekend that was, it's week 10, it's high school football season. I told you guys, you just turn around and it's gone. Well, week 11 is here, so the regular season is basically gone. Region 4-4A did not have the best night last weekend, but I want to talk a little bit about this Lincoln County, Franklin County game. Boy, we just felt like Lincoln County. I know I picked Franklin County last week after talking about Lincoln County for 3 weeks, but that's a big win for the Falcons, for Tim Johnson, for that program down there. They went up against Nealon Jean, who was their quarterback last year, transferred to Franklin County. If you're a Falcon, that had to be sweet.
Yeah, that's a great point right there. Yeah, just so sweet revenge, sweet redemption right there. Your quarterback transfers to Franklin County, and you beat them on their home turf. So, yeah, that's got to be, make the Falcon fans into a frenzy. And, Tim Johnson's brought some excitement back there when they had a couple, really, really bad years recently. And so he's bringing the energy back to Lincoln County.
And then the Region 5-5A was really the focus Friday night, and then Page beat Shelbyville 20-17, so in overtime. So Page wins the Region 5-5A title. Shelbyville finishes second. I'm not sure a lot of people felt like Page was going to get that done earlier in the year, but the Patriots have just gotten better as the year's gone on. Not that Shelbyville hadn't. They looked really good the first game, though. Yeah. I'm not sure how much better they've gotten, but now they're number 2.
Well, yeah, Grayson Trammell, and, to hold Shelbyville, for the Page Patriots, to hold the Shelbyville Golden Eagles to just 17 points with that prolific passer they got and his wide receiver options, that's a good defensive effort by Page.
So it's very cut and dried in most regions now, either who's going to the playoffs or what has to happen this weekend to decide that. Of course, this weekend, Tullahoma plays at Maplewood. We'll have it live on the Rooster 101.5 at 7 o'clock. That is for the Region 4-4A title. The winner finishes first. The loser finishes second. Both of those teams will host a first-round playoff game. They will not meet again until the third round if they both win. Marshall County plays at Nolensville. The winner of that game finishes third. The loser of that game finishes fourth. Tullahoma, if they were to win their first-round playoff game and the other Region 4-4A team were to win their first-round playoff game, which I think will happen, Tullahoma would host either Nolensville or Marshall County the second round of the playoffs. So keep an eye on that the night of the first round of the playoffs. Now, who's on the other side at Stone Memorial? Livingston Academy in Macon County will play Friday night The winner of that game will finish second and host a first-round game. The loser will finish third and travel to either Tullahoma or Maplewood. DeKalb County and Cumberland County will play Friday night. The winner of that game will finish fourth in that region and travel to the winner of Region 4-4A. So Region 3-4A is still way up in the air. Stone Memorial's won it, but Livingston Academy, Macon County, DeKalb County, Cumberland County, we don't know yet.
Just a matter of seeding now.
Just a matter of seeding now, and it's a matter of teams. I mean, everybody's still alive. Cumberland County, one of the worst teams in the state. They've only scored 37 points all year. They've given up 343 points. They've won 1 out of 8 games. I'm sure that was White County or somebody. But they're going to go to the playoffs if they would beat DeKalb County Friday night.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
37 points on the season. We would
love to beat Maplewood Friday and host those Cumberland County Jets.
There you go.
Huh?
Jets, Jets. Bring them on.
That would be pretty sweet. Now, in Region 5-5A, again, Page won the region. Shelbyville finishes second. Once again, third and fourth will be decided Friday night when Lincoln County and Summit square off. They're tied for third. Winner finishes third. Loser finishes fourth. They're both going to travel. But they're the opposite region for them, Region 6. It's in chaos now. You've got Hillsborough, Beach, and Gallatin all tied for first. Hillwood is in fourth. Hillwood's going. They're going to finish fourth. But, boy, a lot can happen there. So who knows who Page and Shelbyville are going to host. But they'll be home for first round of the playoffs. Lincoln County and Summit will be on the road. Down in Region 5-1A, Cornersville, they've long won that thing. Cornersville gave up 20 points in the first game of the season to lowly community. Third team defense gave up 20 points. Cornersville has not allowed a point since then.
Wow.
20 points given up all year. They've scored 435 points. That's the biggest margin of any team, any classification in the state of Tennessee. I think Cornersville, who just 5 years ago, I guarantee it was 0-10. I think Cornersville is going to win the Class 1 state championship, and I so hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's dominant fashion. I mean, only giving up 37 points the entire season and putting up those kind of offensive numbers. Yeah, I mean, those are blowout margins. I mean, so, yeah, I concur with you. They're going to win a state championship.
Moore County beat Richland on Friday night, so they got that tiebreaker over Richland. So the Blue Raiders are in the playoffs. Now, they could still finish as high as third. They got to play Mount Pleasant Friday night. The winner of that game will finish. Well, it gets a little complicated with Huntland in there, but here's what we know. Moore County lost to Huntland. Yeah. They got to play Mount Pleasant. If they beat Mount Pleasant, they finish third. If they don't, they finish fourth. If Mount Pleasant wins, they beat Huntland, so they're going to jump above Huntland, but we don't want to get too deep into that. Moore County's in. They're going to travel in the first round, and they could very well go to Huntington, who's undefeated. And finally, in Class 6A, Oakland has won Region 3. Blackman and Riverdale are going to play Friday night. The winner of that game finishes second. The loser finishes third. So that's a big, really playing for first and second. It's big for us. We want to win the region championship over Maplewood. But it's really when you're playing for second and third that it makes the biggest difference, because you win, you're at home, you lose, you're on the road. That's Riverdale and Blackman Friday night. Winner stays at home, the loser's on the road. Blackman probably a pretty heavy favorite there. And then Siegel and Cookeville are going to play. The winner's in, the loser's out.
So much, I mean, you've outlined these games, done a great job with this, Scott, but so much on the line with only one week of high school regular season going. It is amazing. Of course. You outlined it really good there.
Of course, a lot of these regions only have 5 teams. You know, it's sort of going to end up that way. So here are your options on our stations Friday night. You're going to want to listen to the Rooster 101.5. That's Tullahoma Maplewood. That's the biggest game. Here on 93.9 The Duck, Oakland travels to McMinnville to take on Warren County I don't know, about 60-0 is what we're looking at there. And then that big game on Whiskey Country, 105-1, again, Mount Pleasant at Moore County. That's for playoff seeding. So it's going to be a fun Friday night. We're looking forward to being in Nashville. If you're going, know that, and you hadn't mapped that out yet, know that Maplewood is on the north side of Nashville. You're going to have to go around or through Nashville. You're going to want to leave pretty early. That traffic can be pretty brutal on a Friday afternoon, especially heading up 65 and 24 there. So leave early, get there plenty of time. Let's give a great showing there at Maplewood. We talked to the AD there today, Smash did, and they're looking forward to having a lot of Tullahoma folks come up and a great atmosphere Friday night. After what Tullahoma went through 3 or 4 years ago, Ken, it's awesome. I mean, we don't want to overlook and fly too far past. It'll be over before we know it, but Tullahoma's playing for region championship. They're 8-1. They're the number 7th ranked team in the state. Yeah,
and you look at these matchups, and 4 common opponents. The region opponents. Both teams have taken care of business. So if you look at both teams 8-1. Tullahoma lost 31-13 to Shelbyville that first game of the season. I believe it was the second game that Maplewood lost. They got beat 24-20 by the East Nashville Eagles. So this is a great matchup. Both teams streaking, playing very well, lots on the line. What a great, exciting night for football. I don't know what the weather forecast is going to be. I'm seeing rain here, but who knows and who cares, man. We're going to be there, and Tullahoma's going to get it on with the Panthers. The Panthers and Wildcats Friday night. I can't wait.
It was a hotly contested football game in Knoxville, Tennessee, Saturday afternoon for about 4 minutes. Back with more. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. Live downtown at London's It's the Shasteen Show, 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
By the way, Smash reminded me that Tullahoma Maplewood is up for the Titans Game of the Week. You can vote at titansonline.com. Go on there and vote for the ball game. I think the winner, the Titans give like each school $1,000 for their program or something. I don't know what the prize is, but we want to be the game of the week. Got a chance? Go to titansonline.com.
That's not chump change.
And get that vote. That's not chump change, except for you.
$1,000.
Except for you. Well, Ken, let's just get this out. I don't have a lot to add, but you were there, so tell us what you saw.
Well, Jeremy Pruitt said after the game that.
Tell us what you saw. What you?
I'm setting it up with this.
By what Jeremy Pruitt said after the game, that he needs some more players.
No.
Well, he does.
He said their sidelines looks a lot different than our sidelines. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start. Okay, Alabama has gotten off to quick starts. First of all, he's got the orange on. I got the crimson on. A beautiful day. This series does not need to go away. And I've been to a lot of them where Alabama's lost. Okay, they've won 12 in a row. Saban's 12-0. He's got a heck of a streak going. But there were times Tennessee was winning in this series, big streaks. It's a series of streaks. That being said, the first quarter, the way Alabama exploded, I mean, you just knew, Scott referenced it in the break. The first 4:25, Tennessee goes down. 2 touchdowns, 14-0. Tough start for the Vols. The fan mix, about 80,000 Tennessee, about 20,000 Alabama. So I think a lot of more Tennessee fans showed up that was going to originally sell their tickets because of that big win against Auburn last week. So great day for football, very windy in the first half. Crowds making a lot of noise, Rocky Top, bands playing the pageantry of the day. Beautiful day of weather for a football game, third Saturday of October. But the first quarter was an absolute annihilation by Alabama. And this is the stat of the day right here, and I could really stop after this. When Alabama went up 28-0, Tennessee had had 3 series and ran 9 plays for negative 27 yards. And so really the outcome in the first quarter, 28-0, you're not going to come back from that. But there was many positives. There was a few positives that Tennessee had in that game, okay? So let's talk about the positives that Tennessee had. Number 1, Keller Christ. Very good. Had a very good game. 9 for 15, threw 2 touchdowns. Looked good after Jarrett Guarantano went out after that big hit by Mack Wilson early in the game.
Which was a target, by the way.
Jawan Jennings, 6 catches, 102 yards. Fought tough. Did a really good job.
Best player on Tennessee's team.
There you go. And then the defensive end, Kyle Phillips, getting the pick 6 of Jalen Hurts in the third quarter. Crowd went wild. Big play for Tennessee right there.
Put him at running back on goal line plays.
There you go. So those were some bright spots for Tennessee. In addition to the flea flicker, I thought was a nice play that they did down the middle. Keller Chris made a beautiful throw there. And the near onside recovery. I thought Tennessee had the ball. The guy barely touched it, about 8.5 yards down the field. Jeremy Pruitt dials up another onside kick in the second quarter. So those were the bright spots for Tennessee. Now let's look at the negatives, okay, because there were big ones, and it's real easy to figure out who won this game after these. Number 1, Tennessee had 0 sacks in the game. And, of course, Tua riddled them, okay? 19 for 29, 306 yards, 4 touchdowns. You know, you got to get to that guy. He got that 77-yard pass he had in the second quarter to Jalen Waddle. Dropped it like a dime in between 2 defenders. Great play right there.
Tua has no idea what the Vols ate for their pregame meal because no Tennessee defender got close enough to him to even breathe on him.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and so no sacks. That was big. And the offensive line for Tennessee just got pulverized in the first quarter especially. They were getting driven backwards, but Tennessee had 30 rushes in the game for 31 net yards, Scott, and that just can't happen. So no pressure on the quarterback. They couldn't run the football. So those were some big negatives, along with 9 penalties for 59 yards. Okay, so they too had some penalties. And so those were some big things that really hurt Tennessee. And another one is 11 tackles for loss. Alabama hit Tennessee's offensive line, 11 negative plays in Tennessee's backfield. So that really stat-wise tells the tale right there.
I haven't seen a stat, but I've got to guess that Tennessee leads the nation in negative yardage plays. Yeah. I mean, first game against West Virginia, they have 5 in a row to start the game.
It's what it looked like. It's what it looked like early. That's a great reference analogy right there. This offensive line, I mean, you know, they're going to have to step up the last half of the season if Tennessee's going to get it bowl eligible. I mean, they got some good players up there. They're just so young, and they were just, you know, they were overmatched. Listen to Doug Matthews last night on Big Orange Sunday. He said 2 things that struck me, and he's a Tennessee historian who coached 10 years at Knoxville. And I don't know if I agree with him or not because I've not seen all the teams that's come to Knoxville. You know, number 1 Auburn, Oklahoma, Oregon, all these the good Florida teams under Spurrier. He said this was the best football team that's ever come to Neyland Stadium. I'm not ready to go quite that far, but that's what he said. I don't know if I agree with that or not. And he also was lauding Tua, saying that he is the best young quarterback he's ever seen come to Neyland. So Tennessee fan making those points right there, it's captain obvious. You know, Tennessee just don't have the players. They get 25, did they recruit this good this year? You know, it'll get better next year. But they got a long way to go before they catch Alabama, no doubt about it.
I'll have to disagree with Coach Pruitt a little bit. 25 isn't going to make this up. we're going to need 75. That's 3 years. If Alabama, and they won't, they won't, Tua won't be there 3 years. Their next quarterback, no matter who it is not going to be as good as Tua. I think he's the best college quarterback I've ever seen. And I think this Alabama offense may be the best college offense I've ever seen. Now, we'll see in a couple of weeks against, a top 5 team. I mean, I think Alabama's going to win that game by 3 touchdowns. Memory gets faded over the years, but I think it's the best college offense and the quarterback I've ever seen. 25 ain't going to do it, Jeremy. It's going to take more than that. I thought that Daniel Batuli was a bright spot. He missed the first half because of being kicked out of the last game for targeting. He led the team in tackles and only played half the game, so that's impressive performance by him. I told you before the season he was Tennessee's best defender, and I think he is. And very, very disappointed in Alontae Taylor. He totally lost his composure very, very early, got kicked out of the game. I know you had to be disappointed. Alontae is a friend of yours, and I know part of going up there was to see him perform, and you just didn't get to.
Yeah, his first 5 minutes of the game, we was behind the Alabama sidelines, and so the action was on the Tennessee sidelines. Alontae Taylor and it's unfortunate because that morning I'm riding up there, and Alontae was featured by Tim Tebow as the freak of the week this week. I mean, running, he cited, I think, Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs about being the fastest guy in the NFL and said Alontae ran faster than Tyreek Hill. That was amazing to me to hear that. So, he was amped up, wanting to play against Alabama, against those great wide receivers. And we're watching the activity, saw a little scuffle, didn't see any blatant punches thrown. Coach Pruitt said it was an open-handed slap. There's no doubt in my mind that Derek Keefe, number 81 for Alabama, went over there, and this might have been by design. I'm not going to say it's not. He is not one of their featured wide receivers. He goes over there and starts popping off to Alontae. They said, okay, well, if both guys smack each other and get thrown out, man, Alabama gets the best of that deal because Tennessee loses their stud freshman cornerback and Alabama loses second-string wide receiver. Don't know what happened, but we were both very upset that the way that unfolded.
I wasn't at the game, obviously, but on TV there was no evidence that any Alabama player got kicked out.
No, and I don't know. I'm just saying Derek Keefe was running his mouth, and it was so far away I did not see what happened there. And I was told, did they ever show a replay of the play?
No, they did not have
no replay footage.
The action, unless there was evidently there was something else. That followed them sort of shoving each other a little bit because there was certainly nothing on camera that warranted Alontae being kicked out. But I did think that the hit on Jarrett Garantano warranted a targeting call. I watched a lot of college football Saturday. There was a lot of targeting calls, and that hit on Jeremy Pruitt right here with the crown of the Alabama player's helmet was considerably worse than a number of targeting calls that I saw called in other football games.
Well, I saw the game live, and I thought it was a good, solid shot. Of course I did. I'm an Alabama fan. The Alabama faithful went nuts on there. I did not like the targeting call against Daniel Batuli last week against Auburn. I did not like the targeting call against Devin White, the linebacker from LSU this week. I don't think that was helmet to helmet. So I think the targeting call needs to be.
Just remember, it doesn't have to be helmet to helmet.
Yeah, and
people think it has to be helmet to helmet. It does not.
So what I say,
if you lead with the crown of your helmet anywhere on the body, it's supposed to be targeted.
So do this. Make it a 20-yard penalty. Make it a 20-yard penalty. Keep the kids in the game.
Quit kicking these guys out of the football game. Now, Alontae, different story. You can't throw punches in a football game, and evidently he threw some kind of punch.
I don't think it was.
Well,
really
either way, I'm not going. Yeah. I'm not addressing that sort of ejection. But this targeting thing has gotten so out of hand, and so many kids are getting kicked out of the game. And so often it's it's accidental. They both lower their heads and all this stuff. I mean, it's got to stop.
It's not anything that's new, that's evolved. We griped about it when this rule came out on the Shasteen show. When we started this show a couple years ago, hey, we griped about it then that it was going to impact game. Key guys were going to get thrown out, and it's just interpretation. They send the replay out, and it's just one person's basically judgment call out of Birmingham, wherever the office is or whoever's making these calls. I mean, don't kick the kid. They work too hard in practice. These guys are not doing this on purpose. And what do you do if the running back or the receiver drops their head? What are you supposed to do? They're going to start targeting on the offensive players now? I think this is where the game's going, and this is what I don't like about the game. I'm an old school guy. Let the guys play. It's not flag football. It's not powder puff football. But quit kicking the kids out of the games. I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand we're trying to protect people and that sort of thing, and I'm all for that. And like I agree with what Ken said. Make it a personal foul. Give them like unsportsmanlike conduct. You get 2 of those, you're out of the game. Whatever, but don't just automatically eject them for hitting with the crown of the head. I mean, if you ever played football and tried to make a tackle without leading with your head, it's pretty difficult.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty difficult. If you're going to get kicked out of a game, just do what Rajon Rondo and Ingram did for the Lakers. Just throw haymakers at people.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an old-fashioned NBA brawl.
Yeah,
right
so
there.
we're talking about the targeting. What about these chop blocks and these cut blocks? I think Tennessee had a lineman or somebody hurt. It was a Kongbo guy knocked out for the season with an ACL because somebody went down the back of his leg on a dirty.
Whose career is impacted more?
Who's replaying those calls? I mean, to me, it's a double standard, and it's not. That needs to be looked at by college football, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. College football, that's just one game. We got a few games to talk about from last week. We got a few games to talk about this week. What else have we got? The Titans. They're still in a London fog. They're just all wrapped up.
They're dazed,
the Vols
confused.
Basketball team, preseason rankings came out today. Yeah, before we know it, we're going to be talking a lot of college basketball. The highest preseason ranking in Tennessee history. The World Series is set, and Major League Baseball and whatever network's carrying it, they're breathing a big sigh of relief. They got exactly what they want. The Cowboys acquire one of Ken Keller's all-time favorite players. And, yeah, the Rockets and the Lakers, they don't like each other very much. Driven by Russell Barnett, Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month? What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
To London's in downtown Tullahoma, along with Ken Keller. I'm Scott Shasteen, halfway through The Shasteen Show, 6:35. The king of fake news is here to spread a little fake news about college football from last weekend.
Are you talking about Kirk Herbstreit? Or Saturday down south?
I could be. Yeah, so, we talked about Purdue and their upset of Notre Dame. We talked about Alabama's absolute dismantling of Tennessee, but there was some other entertaining football Saturday.
Yeah, still impressed with that LSU team. Yeah, holding Mississippi State to 3 points. Man, I love the way they're playing. It's going to set up a big showdown in 2 weeks at Baton Rouge. It's going to be a 7 o'clock game. We'll break that one down next week. But Ed Orgeron, man, he's looking good for Coach of the Year. Him or maybe Dan Mullen. Both those guys looking really good right now. So that game right there, stood out to me. What are some other games? SEC, that's what we'll stick with right now. Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Poor Vandy. They just can't close the deal on anybody, can they? 14-7. They keep that game fairly close. Kentucky wins again, man. How about them Wildcats?
I thought and actually watched more of that game than I did the LSU game because LSU was dominating. I thought Kentucky was a little bit disinterested. Kentucky, that program, that's a sign that you look for in a program when you get to where you believe you're playing an inferior opponent and you're a little disinterested. That game was 7-7 forever. And then right at the end, Kentucky drives the ball all the way down the field. They just give it to Benny Snell over and over and over and over. They score, they win, they go home.
Well, they did what they did not do against Texas A&M. We grabbed a couple of weeks ago, in crunch time, they took the ball away from Benny and started throwing it, and so they got back to what works. Give the ball to Benny, and they get the win. So going back to that LSU game, man, how did you like them purple helmets of the Tigers? I loved them. I thought they were killer. You're a Laker fan. Purple and gold your colors. I figured you'd like them. I like
not
them.
When they're on the LSU Tigers.
I got you. I love them uniforms of the LSU
Were the
Tigers.
Numbers big enough for you to see them?
Yeah, man, them things were humongous. No doubt about it. Look at this one. Big Missouri put 65 on Memphis. They win that game 65-33. The Missouri Tigers, a team that won at Purdue and did something that Ohio State could not do Saturday. But the talk of the town was that Ohio State lost 49-20. Did you love that as much as I did?
That's
a shocker to me. That's a shocker.
That was one of the best games of the year. The Purdue story, and I won't try to act like I know all about it, but the young man with cancer who's the big fan of Purdue, and you see teams do this quite a bit. They've sort of adopted him and everything, and he was there, and those kind of stories. That's really one of the things that makes college sports so exceptional, and the televising of college sports so exceptional is when they're able to weave those stories in, and you sort of feel. It grabs your emotions a little.
Oh, no, yeah, and you hit on the key word, emotion. It's amazing what a team that plays with emotion, how they can elevate their game. And playing for that young man, and you just saw it, and you saw the celebration. I mean, that's what makes college football, to me, the best sport there is. And, in that Ohio State game, Dwayne Haskins, who is chasing Tua for the Heisman, throws 73 passes. Did you ever think that you would see a Urban Meyer coach team throw 73 passes in one game? That's amazing to me, Scott.
No, I didn't. But here's what I did think. You'd have to check history. There haven't been a lot of teams in any level of football that have thrown 73 passes. But I bet if you put them all together, from Pop Warner to the NFL, all the teams that have thrown 73 passes in a game, I bet you won't find 10% of them that won.
I agree.
Now, are you throwing because you're down? Yeah, maybe. But Ohio State wasn't that far down. They have no running game. They are not a national championship contender.
Hey, it's going to be amazing. And so when you shake out and you look at the polls that came out today, so the AP polls got Alabama 1, Clemson Tigers number 2. They were very impressive, knocked off one of the 8 unbeaten teams in college football, wiped out NC State. They threw the ball. Trevor Lawrence looked good, true freshman quarterback.
Danny Cannell, this is why North Carolina State was 16th in the country and undefeated. It had nothing to do with what conference they're from. It's because everybody knew they were pretenders.
Yeah.
And Clemson showed them they were pretenders.
They were who we thought they were, right? We're using that every week on the show here. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they jump up to number 3. They're sitting pretty right now, Scott, for the playoffs.
They're in great shape. They're going to, I'll be pulling for the midshipmen. like crazy next week to upset Notre Dame. I don't see it, though. I think they're going to go undefeated, and they're going to be in that playoff.
I think you're right. Maybe Navy can send Roger Stahl back out there and put number 12, bring Jolly
Keenan
Roger
Reynolds.
back.
They need to bring back Keenan Reynolds from Goodpasture High School.
LSU Tigers, number 4, looking good. Big showdown in a couple weeks. They moved up to number 4 in the polls. LSU Tigers control their own destiny. Look at this SEC picture. 4 teams in the AP poll in the top 9. You got Alabama at 1. You got LSU at 4. At number 6, you got the Georgia Bulldogs. At number 9, you got the Florida Gators. So you talk about a big matchup this week at the world's largest cocktail party. Georgia Bulldogs, Florida Gators, 6 versus 9. Both those teams control their own destiny. So those 4 teams in the SEC, any of those 4 win out, they're in the playoffs. Can the SEC get 2 teams and sneak 2 teams in there?
Absolutely.
There's a good shot now with Ohio State losing, Scott.
Absolutely. It's a simple formula to me. LSU beats Alabama 2 weeks, Saturday night in Baton Rouge, and there's no way you keep Alabama doesn't go to the SEC championship, just like last year. They don't go to the SEC championship game, but they're getting in the playoff. There's no way a one-loss Alabama team does not get in the playoff. So whether LSU was to knock them off in 2 weeks, I don't think Georgia or Florida has any chance. But if one of them were to knock them off in the SEC championship game, absolutely. I don't think Alabama's losing at all. They may be the best college team I've ever seen. But if they were to and just have one loss, they're getting in.
Yeah.
So whoever beats them, if they just have one loss and win the SEC championship, if LSU beats Alabama and then wins the SEC championship, LSU's for sure getting in. And so's Alabama. They're in. Now, Georgia, Florida, it gets a little bit trickier, but if one of them beats Alabama in the SEC championship game and they've just got one loss, they're getting in because one of them's going to have a win over a top 10 team Saturday in Jacksonville. So I don't think anybody's beating Alabama. So I don't think the SEC gets 2 teams in because Alabama's going to beat somebody in that SEC championship game. They're going to beat LSU. That gives LSU 2 losses. Whoever loses in Jacksonville is going to have 2 losses. Whoever Alabama beats in the SEC championship game is going to have 2 losses. And you know what? 2-loss SEC team getting in. But if Alabama somehow turns it over 8 times and Tua can't play, they have been beaten before. Not this year, and they're not going to be. But if they did, that's the only way.
Scott, you broke that down better than Reese Davis. They need to put you on that college football preview show, man.
They do.
Next week. And by the way, I believe next Tuesdays, when the first poll rankings come out. But you made some valid points. I think Notre Dame and Clemson got the easiest pass. I'm going to count them 2 in. Your SEC champions, your 3rd team. The second SEC team is going to come down to one of those teams you mentioned under those scenarios versus Big Ten. Michigan, I don't think Ohio State can get into it. They're going to have it. Unless they win the Big Ten and come with one loss. But you could see that Big Ten teams cannibalize each other, and the conference champion have 2 losses. Then what's going to happen? You got to watch out for Oklahoma and Texas. Texas beat Oklahoma. Both teams 1 loss. If they win out and win the Big 12 championship, watch out for one of those. I still think the SEC is going to be tough to get 2 teams in, but you outlined the scenario great that it very well could happen. I think they're the only conference right now that's got a shot to put 2 teams in, no doubt about it.
That committee would love to have the Texas Longhorns never lose sight of the fact that other than Notre Dame, the richest team in the country, the school with its own network. Big 12 doesn't have a network. Pac-12 does, Big 10 does, ACC does, SEC does. Big 12 don't have a network. The Longhorn Network. That's what there is out there. They would love to get Texas in the college football playoff. Can they make it? We'll see. What's coming up this week? That's on the other side. Driven by Russell Barnett, Ford of Tullahoma, live from London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
6:46 on a Monday. You've still got plenty of time. We got an open table right here in front of us for you to come down, have a cold beer, Tullahoma's best burger, and they got steaks now. I'm talking, they're 2 inches thick. These things are unbelievable. You get baked potatoes, salad, all the stuff around. It's awesome. Come on down here to London's. So before we pick this week's games, let's touch on some other things that, pardon me, I sort of touched on a minute ago. First of all, the Titans go to London yesterday morning. I didn't watch a play of it. I was on the road, but they fall to
San Diego Chargers.
the Chargers by 1 point. They score at the end, go for 2, don't make it, lose the game. I know I've heard that, it was a sort of a questionable passing play and that sort of thing. So I won't really comment on the play call, but I will say I have no problem ever, any level, with a coach going for 2 into the game to get the win. Just go for 2, get the win at the end of the game. I think that's always your best move. That's just the way I feel about it. I don't like overtime. When you've just scored, the defense they're sucking wind. I don't care how you scored, you just scored. Maybe if it was an interception return or something, it might be different. But for the most part, your offense has gone down and scored. The other team's a little demoralized. It's the end of the game, and all of a sudden, they're fixing to be tied up or something. Go for 2. You just go for it there. Pick your best play. Unless your quarterback is immobile, roll him out. Give him some options. Got guys going this way and that way in the end zone. He's got a chance to run. I never have a problem with that, but I don't think that's the play they went with.
I don't have a problem with them going for it, although the Titans defense was playing well. I saw the last quarter of the game in overtime. Either way, but I didn't like the last play call. You're at the 2.5-yard line on 2-point conversion. And then there was a penalty that moved it half the distance and cut it down to about 1.5. They threw it the first time. Incomplete pass. I didn't like the pass. They called 2 passes, and both of them was incomplete, if I remember right. If you're in the NFL and you got 2 first-round tackles and a Heisman Trophy quarterback and a Heisman Trophy running back, and you can't get 1.5 yards, you deserve to lose the ball game. That's all I got to say about that. If you can't punch that in and smash somebody's mouth and run the ball a yard and a half down their throat, Titans, you deserve to lose and go 3-4. Now you fell behind the Houston Texans in your division.
Texans are fixing to run away with the AFC South. If any team, 4-12 is very, very doable here. If any team has more plays for negative yardage than the Tennessee Volunteers, it may be the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, they're in the battle for it. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
You're right.
So I don't know about trying to run it up the middle. Well, I don't think that was the way to go.
And we got to talk about the receivers of the Titans. I know one of those was a high first-round draft choice, but don't blame that game on Mariota yesterday, Titan fans. In that second half, He was putting balls on the money, big crossing pattern for touchdown, right in the guy's hand, drops it. There's several drops. Them guys had the yips yesterday. I know the field looked a little muddy. There may have been some rain, but come on, man. You're in the NFL. You practice wet ball drills every week. You got to catch the football. The Titans receivers were terrible. Dallas Cowboys made a move to get Amari Cooper. Good job, Cowboys. Yeah, you gave up a first round. You thought about drafting Calvin Ridley, but now you came back and got Amari Cooper. Good job. Titans, you better go get you a stud wide receiver. Or you're right. They're going to tank this thing, and they'll be hard to get to 500. It's going to be hard pressed.
Absolutely. I think it's a great move by the Cowboys. I don't understand, and look, I'm not an NFL executive, obviously. I don't understand the weeping and gnashing of teeth nationally because Dallas traded a first-round draft pick to get Amari Cooper. How many first-round draft picks are Amari Cooper? I mean, how many? I just don't get it. When I saw that the Raiders said they were going to trade Amari Cooper, I said, absolutely, if I'm any team in the league, I'm giving up a first-round draft pick to get Amari Cooper.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what John Gruden is doing now. He's stockpiling picks. They got 3 first-round picks for 19. So he's after somebody.
He's got a 10-year, $100 million contract. He has no pressure to win. He's cleaning house. He does. He absolutely thinks he's smarter than anybody else, and he thinks he can draft winning players in Oakland.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And you know, the thing with Amari Cooper, let's talk about it. I believe the first 2 seasons the guy had 1,000 yards. Third season, drops. He had lots of drops. He had some concentration issues. This year, Derek Carr's just not getting the ball, not targeting him. Cowboys need a receiver. That's a perfect fit. Sometimes guys just need change of scenery. Talk with my buddies this week. I said a good fit before any of this came out. I said Amari Cooper to the Cowboys would be great, and I'd like to see Derrick Henry get traded to the Redskins. Titans, if you're not going to use him, trade him. The Redskins will take him. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if he's a perfect fit in Dallas, but Amari Cooper is an accomplished, tremendous receiver. When he came out in the draft, if my team had taken him in the first round, I would have been extremely happy and thought that was a really good pick. My team took a receiver with the 5th overall pick a couple of years ago, and he ain't done diddly squat. So if I could get Amari Cooper and trade Corey Davis, I'm sure Oakland didn't want him, but I would have. So the point is, it's one thing drafting a rookie wide receiver in the first round, but to have a guy who's got 2 or 3 years experience like Amari Cooper, I just think it's no-brainer.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
That's what I would have done. Dodgers, Red Sox, World Series, Ken.
Oh, man.
Major League Baseball and the TV networks got exactly what they wanted. Huge market. Dodgers hadn't won one since '88. Red Sox have had a great 15-year run here. You got local products. Easy for me to cheer for the Red Sox here. I can't stand the Dodgers, never could. I know Jordan Sheffield's in that organization, but he ain't taking the mound. But David Price is for the Red Sox. Mookie Betts is in the lineup. I'm Red Sox all the way.
Red Sox got an awesome offense, man. They're bombers. They can hit it. And they wiped out the Astros. So it's going to be great to see Kershaw pitch a couple times going against that offense. I'm looking forward to that. And so we got a couple minutes left. You ready to pick a couple games here as we wind down?
Let's
all right,
do it.
We got to start off with this one, the world's largest cocktail party. Number 6, Georgia, and number 9, Florida. Both teams 6-1, the winner in the driver's seat in the SEC East. Who do you like in this game?
I'm going to surprise you because has Georgia recruited tremendously? Absolutely. There's just something doesn't feel quite right about Georgia. Have they been anything like, remember going into the year, Alabama, Georgia, just right below them there. Remember the national title game? They were right there. And going into the year, who recruited better than Alabama? I don't know, maybe Georgia. But do you feel that way now? No. I'm going to take Florida and Jacksonville. I think Florida wins this game. I think their defense is better. I don't think Kirby Smart is all that everybody tried to make him be last year. And after this recruiting class, I'm just not. I'm going with Coach Mullen and the Florida Gators here.
I love what Coach Mullen's doing. He's won some big games this year. That game against LSU, LSU's only loss. His team beat LSU and beat them convincingly. I think Georgia's going to rebound because of their offense. They have more offensive playmakers and explosion. I think this is a breakout game for their offense. I'm going to say 34-7, Georgia's going to wipe out Florida in this game. Florida just doesn't have the horses to compete with them right now. But you give them a cycle of 2 of recruiting, only 1 loss, they'll be back.
So what you're saying is that all Dan Mullen needs is 25 players.
I think it can make
just like Jeremy Pruitt.
It'll help.
I think Florida's a little closer than Tennessee is. What else you got?
All right, so
that is definitely the huge.
Yeah, that's the showcase game. We got
2:30 Saturday. Is that right?
Got it. Yeah, 2:30 CBS game. Got to go hit this one. Tennessee Volunteers against the South Carolina Gamecocks. South Carolina. This game, I don't know what Vegas has put it. Maybe somewhere between 7 and 10 points. Health of Jarek Guarantano in doubt here. Keller Chris may get his first start for the Vols. Vols on the road. South Carolina off week last week.
Yeah.
Tough trip for Tennessee here.
Yes. Bye weeks are tremendous help. You saw that with Tennessee playing Auburn. It gets more and more every year. A bye week is when you come off of that, you're recharged, you're fresh. I don't like Tennessee's chances here. I don't think the Vols are done for the year. I haven't lost confidence in Coach Pruitt or anything close to that. But I don't like Tennessee's chances at South Carolina. What do we know? What time is that? A 6 o'clock game or something?
Yes, it's a night game.
I don't. That place is a madhouse on Saturday nights. Now we've seen that. Yeah. If there's one place in the SEC that really can sort of compare with LSU on a Saturday night, it's South Carolina, man. They go nuts down there. I'm with the Gamecocks.
I'm really looking forward to this coaching matchup between Will Muschamp and Jeremy Pruitt. Those two guys, former Saban assistants. It's going to be a really good matchup. I think Tyson Chandler and Jawan Jennings can make some big plays in the air for Tennessee. They're going to put up some points. I think both offenses break out this week. There's going to be a lot of points scored. Tennessee, when they play South Carolina, man, crazy things happen in this game. I think it's going to be close.
The Vols have done great against the Gamecocks.
They have, especially there, too. I think this game is going to be a 27-23 type game. I like South Carolina because they're rested and had a week off, but Tennessee plays this game close, 27-23, 31-27, somewhere in that range.
Who wins?
I like Gamecocks in a close one.
What else you got?
All right, so we got Texas A&M travels to Mississippi State. Texas A&M, the best 2-win team in the country, travels to play the Bullies in Starkville.
This is the SEC. Texas A&M, Ken's just been on top of the world with them all year. And Mississippi State just looked totally ineffective. They have a one-dimensional offense, and that is tough to win with, especially in the SEC. So, with that said, I got to go with Texas A&M.
I'm going with Texas A&M as well. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
On the road.
They got a good run defense. Kentucky at Missouri. Kentucky at Missouri. This is an intriguing game right here.
It is an intriguing game. These are two pretty doggone good football teams. But I think Missouri's playing well. I think Kentucky runs into the buzzsaw here. That's another sort of tough place to win. And Missouri's more physical than you think on defense. I'll go with the Tigers.
I'm with you. I like the way Drew Lock played last week. They put up 65. Missouri throws the ball better than Kentucky. I like Missouri to win this game as well, Scott.
Remember, Friday night, 7 o'clock on the Rooster 101.5. It is the Region 4-4A championship game, Tullahoma and Maplewood. Right here on 93.9 The Duck. Oakland is at Warren County. On Whiskey Country 105.1, it is Mount Pleasant at Moore County. High school football Friday nights. All 3 stations have college football on Saturday, although Alabama is off. That's going to do it for us from London's. We appreciate Smash producing this thing. For Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.